So today we're kind of semi-announcing and semi-updating on a new product that Lightworks are developing called Slipstream. And the topic of the presentation, as you can see on the screen, is how VR can solve key challenges by automotive and aerospace design teams. So, summary of the talk, we're going to cover some of the key challenges that we're seeing out in the market from speaking to quite a number of these companies, the goal or the vision that they ultimately want to get to, and a little bit about the solution that Lightworks have been developing, which is called Slipstream. So let's start with the challenges. I'm actually going to add one in here, which is the challenge that Richard's team at Seymour Powell are looking to solve. I mean, the two main ones that we hear are first and foremost the thing that these guys are looking to solve, and secondly, it's that we spend too much time preparing data for design reviews, and this is where we're looking to come in. So one particular company that we spoke to recently, based not too far from here, told us that they have design reviews most weeks, certainly every month, on their automotive designs, and it's the task of their alias surface modelers to actually prepare the data for design reviews. And what they told us is that typically on an average week they will spend one day every week preparing that CAD data for a design review in VR. And that just struck us as a crazy amount of time that somebody whose skill is in creating the geometry is spending that much time preparing data for design reviews. So we thought, well, surely there must be something better to do here. And if you extrapolate that out over a typical 2-year design cycle, that is hundreds of hours that these guys are spending on manual data prep. Some of the other challenges that we hear are that the data sets themselves are just too large. So if you want to do a full car review with interior and exterior and all the parts, that's very challenging in some of the tools that people use today. In addition, because of the amount of time they spend preparing the data, the actual iteration cycles between creating a new design, refining it, and going back and going through that iteration process is just too slow. And that's one of the areas where people want to speed up. They also find that because they're time constrained, they have to ditch certain design themes earlier than they would like, so they'd like to be able to keep a number of design themes in contention for longer. And finally, people always say that they can see a world where one day they won't be actually making physical prototypes out of clay. We don't really believe that. We still think there's a lot of value in a physical prototype, but when it takes 5 days just to mill a clay model, to make a few decisions on it, we think that can really be shortened by doing a lot of that early review in VR and then ultimately getting to 1 or 2 prototypes further down the line. So the goal. What we hear from most people is that ultimately they want to do their design reviews in a game engine. This isn't totally revolutionary. Game engines are fantastic for doing real-time visualization. They're built for VR. But the biggest challenge that we hear time and time again is we're not game developers, and getting the data into Unreal or into Unity is a complete pain. You've got to do a lot of work to manipulate that geometry to get it low enough so that it works at 90 frames a second in VR. You've got to set all your materials up, you've got to create environments, and you've got to do this time and time again for every review. So it's a complete pain, and it's a skill set that, frankly, most automotive and aerospace companies don't necessarily have in-house either. So you're often starting from scratch. So if we can have a quick look at some of the other solutions on the market, and I'm not going to specifically name names here, but just kind of allude to certain things. So there's everybody out there has seen a great VR demo where the car looks really nice, really shiny, great UI, you can navigate around, switch materials, all that kind of stuff. Everybody's had a go on that kind of thing. But as soon as you ask the question, where did the data come from, everybody starts to stutter. And the reality is that they've spent a lot of time manually processing that data to get it into that demo to make it look that good. So plenty of people can offer you a good demo. It probably won't be personalized, it'll be pre-canned, and ultimately there's no kind of automation or data preparation that's going on. So it's just a fixed endpoint. So it's very, very limited in its use. Other tools on the market, they do a fantastic job at actually preparing the data ready for the game engine. So you can load your CAD data in, twiddle a load of settings, and it will output a load of geometry that is optimized for the game engine. But it's not automated, and at the end of that, you've still got to go and build your experience in the game engine. So you still need Unreal or Unity expertise to make that thing work. And there's no management in there for doing that repeatedly. And then finally, some of the more recent tools that are coming to market, again, have fantastic data preparation tools where you can script them and automate them to some degree. They don't offer a personalized experience necessarily, but they might get you some of the way with a template in the game engine that you can get started with, but you're still going to have to go in and make it work for you as a company. So it's not an entirely end-to-end process. So obviously what our customers are telling us is that they want an end-to-end process. So particularly in the markets that we serve, which are industrial, automotive, and aerospace, people don't want to be worried about hiring game engine developers. They don't want to be worried about hiring coders to write the scripts and write the pipeline. They just want to press a button day in, day out and get that repeatable flow of information into an experience where they can actually do their job, which is reviewing their designs. So this is the problem that Lightworks have been looking to solve over the last year or two. And the product that we have is very much targeted, as you might guess, at designers and design managers. And it's very much targeted at people in these kind of sectors, so industrial, automotive, and aerospace. I'm going to show you a quick diagram just to kind of give you a flavor for how it works without going into too much depth, but it's effectively an end-to-end, simple, automated, and personalized pipeline. So it takes in all your native CAD data from all the things you might expect, like CATIA and NX and Creo and Alias and intermediate file formats like FBX. We have a very simple application at the front end, which allows you to say, there's the data set that I want to process. I want to put it into an exterior design review type experience and press go. And that's what that pipeline bit at the beginning does. All the clever data prep tools in the middle, which you might expect from other things on the market, they're all there, but they're hidden from the user. So once you've set up the pipeline to just run, you don't have to worry about doing any settings for UV unwrap or normal mapping or assigning materials. That's all just kind of taken care of underneath the hood. And then finally, the actual personalized design review app at the end. We do have a template which we use as a baseline, and ultimately we try and create an experience which is tailored to each customer. So by that we mean using your own environments, whether that's your design studio or exterior environments that you want to test lighting and things in. We obviously use your own material library, so if you're very precious about specific reds, for example, we can make sure that those are represented in the game engine. And obviously your own CAD data is coming in as well. So I'm just going to touch a little bit more about some of these and just show a quick video. So this is the setup app. As you can see, there's not a huge amount in there. You define the name of your pipeline, where the data is coming from, where you want it to go, hit play, and it will process all that data and put it directly into the executable game. So you don't even have to go into the Unreal editor. You just get a double click on a file and it opens up the experience. So the main parts of this is that it's really simple to set up. Once we've done that kind of baseline setup for you, you can manage your pipeline, so you can add, remove, you can look at a log of anything that happened throughout that pipeline processing, and ultimately it's just very repeatable and reliable, so you don't have to go in and do any manual work yourself. The second part, which I will touch on, is the automated data prep tools. So these are the kinds of things that are present in a range of tools that are already on the market. So none of these are particularly revolutionary, but they are things that have to happen in the background. So things like translating CAD files and tessellating them ready for the game engine. Things like creating automatic UVs, creating levels of detail. These are all things that have to happen to complex geometry to make it work in the game engine. So I just want to touch on those to let you know that those are the kinds of things that we're doing to the data on the way through, but ultimately as a designer, you shouldn't have to worry about any of that really. And then finally, the actual experience at the end. So what we want to make sure is that it's very personalized. So it's your data that you're reviewing in your environments with your materials. So this isn't a kind of stock demo. It's very tailored to the end customer. So ultimately, their designers can review the data in an experience they're used to. One of the big things we're trying to do is get better real-time decision-making. So we're adding in support for things like snapshots, so you can take pictures of the car, voice dictation, and coming soon will be the ability to actually redline the model. So when you're in the design review process, you can capture the decisions that are being made. And then finally, something that's kind of native to games, but quite novel for a lot of people is multiplayer. So a lot of our customers aren't just based on one site, and they want to be able to make sure that people from different locations around the world can all jump into the same experience and collaborate on the same design review, looking at the same thing in real time. We find this is actually a really, really key feature for these people. So just to recap there, it's a very personalized experience using your data. It enables real-time decision-making using tools like redlining, voice dictation, and snapshots, and finally, multiplayer, so allow multiple people around the world to collaborate in the same environment. So we're early days with this, so I haven't got a great glowing testimonial to point you to, but what I would like to just highlight is for certain customers in the automotive market in particular that are spending around 1 day a week of manual data prep every week for design reviews, over the course of a product development cycle, which may be 2 years, we think we can save you about 100 days of manual data preparation. So this is the kind of benefit we're looking at helping customers save. So I'm just going to close by just quickly talking a little bit about Lightworks. That's the company I work for. We're specialists in rendering technology and solutions. We've been developing ray tracing technology as our bread and butter for a long time. We've been responsible for integrating the likes of iRay into tools like Siemens NX. We also developed the iRay for 3D Studio Max plugins. We've got a long heritage of visualization, high-end visualization. So these are the 4 main product areas that we work in. Obviously, Slipstream's been the focus for today. We also do high-end product configurators for aerospace and automotive companies. As I mentioned, we are partners with NVIDIA, and we integrate the iRay SDK into a number of the leading CAD applications around the world. And finally, we also run and sell all the iRay plugins on the iRay plugin store. We actually, as I mentioned, developed the one for 3D Studio Max. So we do a lot of this work ourselves, but we do get a lot of fantastic support from some of our key partners, including NVIDIA and Epic and Siemens. We work very closely with these guys. So we do have a booth down in the Butterworth Hall, and we have a demo with this lovely Porsche model, which you're welcome to come and try. We're at booth number 31. So come and have a chat. Thank you very much.